It's long been accepted in education that teaching to the test is not the most effective way to grade grades. Plus, it's also just not really possible these days. Exams in the curriculum are designed in a way that it just doesn't work anymore. And this is a good thing, as it means students have to be taught in a more holistic way and are required to actually understand the content rather than just learn and rehearse it parrot fashion. And I certainly remember learning things by rote and repetition without really necessarily understanding them, and I know that many parents I talk to do too. I've had plenty of reminiscing moments with parents on the phone or over Skype with cries of, "It wasn't like this in my day." But that doesn't mean that students can't prep and practice for tests and exams. Teaching to the test has really been replaced and taken over by a more useful and transferable skill and process, and that is what I would call training for the test. In other words, getting familiar with the format of the exam to be sat, being clear on exactly how to tackle it strategically, having go-to strategies to address different types of questions, and a toolkit of techniques to write top-notch responses, so that the unknown of an exam is no longer daunting. And the fact that many students still aren't being trained for the test or an exam technique is a little bit crazy, or at least I think so. And of course, it's why I've made it my mission to help as many students as possible with this, because we wouldn't go to an interview without having rehearsed our answers to possible questions they might be asking us, and perhaps researching what will likely impress them, things that I know I should definitely try to include in my answers. No TED Talk presenter, for example, would turn up not having practiced their talk or knowing what rules or expectations or guidelines they're going to need to follow. And if we had our driving test coming up, we'd not only know exactly what maneuvers they could ask us to perform, but we'd have practiced them many times over, and we'd have a clear strategy to follow for each one, like lining up the wing mirrors for a reverse park or having specific steps for a three-point turn. And yet, so many students go into exams having learned the subject information, but not having clear strategies, steps, or techniques to perform them at their best. And that's like going into a dance competition having read a ton of books or researched information online about ballet, or going into a boxing match having watched hours of matches but never having been coached or trained practically and personally. Being able to perform brilliantly and knowing exactly what the judges are looking for is a whole other world, right? So make sure that your team isn't just relying on their subject knowledge and research to help them achieve success in their essays, exams, and assignments. They need practical practice and strategies and go-to tools, templates, and techniques so that they produce answers and responses that align with the wording of essays, tasks, and exam questions, and with the mark schemes and rubrics that they are being judged on. I'm Katie Price, grade transformation expert, and you can catch loads more practical tips and strategy and study coaching and information around this over on my blog at www.gradetransformation.com.au/blog. And if you have a question or topic you'd like covered in a future blog video, then drop me an email at katie.price@rocksolidstudy.com.au. And until next week, let's make this a fantastic week.